everybody, welcome back to Crisis Point Racing. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take a look at 2020 in review. While the entire world was dealing with COVID, I was in the garage working on this car. One of the purposes of this channel is really to bring to you the challenges, the successes and failures, what it takes to bring a race car to the track, essentially, and get it ready for real competition. So what we're going to look at today is one, we're going to take a look at what we've done to the car over the past year. Two, we're going to take a peek at where I am from a competitive standpoint. And three, we're going to take a look at where the car is from a competitive standpoint. So let's take a look at what we've done to the car in 2020. Okay, so how much did all of that cost? A lot. It was rather expensive. So I imagine over the past year, I probably put $5,000 to $10,000 into the car. I've actually been able to sell a lot of the parts off the car and get money back, probably $3,000 to $4,000 worth on Craigslist, which is kind of nice. I do keep a spreadsheet. I try not to use the sum function on that spreadsheet because honestly, I just don't want to know. Maybe one day when I sell the car, I'll total it up so I can see how big of a loss I'm going to take. But I mean, it's expensive to build and run and operate a race car. All the tools that you need, the trailer, all the parts that you're going to put on it, track fees, gas, it all starts to add up. Just be prepared for that going in. It is not a cheap hobby. It's probably less expensive than, say, aviation, but it's certainly, not an inexpensive thing to do. Also, if you don't use the sum function on your spreadsheet, when your spouse, significant other, or whoever asks you how much money you've spent on it, you can honestly say, I don't know. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at all that, which is quite a bit of work to do on the car over the past year, what's left? Well, to get race legal, you have to have a fire extinguisher or a fire suppression system in the car. And beginning in 2022, it's not going to be a fire extinguisher. A fire suppression system will be required. So, decided to go ahead and get ahead of the game. I've got my fire bottle from ESS Fire Suppression Products. We're going to go ahead and install that. That will be a video. The other thing we have left to do to make it race legal is a master disconnect switch. Allows you to turn the electrical power to the car on and off. So this has to be installed as well. As part of that, I am going to relocate the battery to the trunk for a couple reasons. One, it reduces the heat that the battery takes. It soaks up, so it prolongs the life of the battery. Secondly, it moves weight from the front of the car to the rear of the car, which is always a good thing to keep it balanced. And obviously, if anything goes wrong, we want to make sure we can cut that power off and make sure that battery's in a safe location. So both of those things are going to be videos. The fire suppression install and the master disconnect switch install will both be videos. The last thing that needs to be done there is I need to finish the roll cage. The roll bar I have in there now makes me eligible for time trials, but to do competition racing, you have to have the full cage. I did buy a roll bar that is extensible, so they say, to a full cage. So hopefully I haven't bought something that I'm going to have to throw away or sell or do something else with. So what's after that? So that gets us just legal. To be competitive, the car actually needs Several more things, or at least things that I perceive that the car really should have for reliability and competition purposes. Wheel hubs is one. The wheel hubs in this are a known weak point. SKF makes a set. They're not cheap, but getting those replaced on there. Putting aero on the car. This car needs aero to be competitive at the highest levels. Another thing that's required is to replace the radiator and reroute all the air systems of how the air is coming into the car. Most people with the C5 Corvette get rid of the bottom breathing of the C5 and make it a front breather, much like the actual C5R race car is. So that's going to require a lot of work. New radiator. The radiator in this car is half plastic and half aluminum. What we want to do is go to a full aluminum radiator, so those nozzles where our hoses connect to don't deteriorate and wear out and end up with a coolant leak. There's definitely a couple other things in this car we want to do as well. Oil catch can. Need one of those to prevent oil from blowing by into the intake. Definitely want to put polyurethane bushings in here for the suspension and go to a full coilover system. Not to mention adding sway bars. As you can imagine, all of this starts to add up pretty quick. One of the things that I wanted to mention here is that when you first start this hobby, a lot of people, especially the veterans, are going to come out and tell you, buy a pre-built car. Buy a car that's already been logbooked, meaning it's already had a tech inspection from the governing body in which you want to race, and buy it made. Buy it, somebody else has already put in the elbow grease and paid all the money, and they're going to take a loss on that car when they sell it. And to be honest, that advice is fantastic. And also, to be honest, I ignored that advice completely. For the simple reason that this is also a learning experience for me. I wanted to learn how to work on my own car. I knew a little bit about cars coming into this, could do oil changes, various things around the car, no problem whatsoever. I had a general idea of how everything worked. But I have to say that during this year, I have learned so much about how the intricate details of how a car operates, and about a lot of the systems that, frankly, I'd ignored in the past. The other thing is that when you buy a built car, you don't know where the compromises are. You don't know the shortcuts that former owner took with the car. You don't know anything about what they did with it. With this car, I know exactly where every line is run. I know where the compromises have been made because I made them. I know how everything operates. I am confident in each piece of this because I'm a little bit OCD about these things, and I make sure that everything's torqued down and in the proper position. There are no shortcuts taken when your own life is on the line. So it's kind of a trade-off. You're going to spend more money if you build it yourself, sure, but you will also come away with it knowing your car intricately. You'll know it down to the last bolt. I know essentially everything I need to know about this car. So as I mentioned before, it's going to cost you more money to build it yourself, but you will get the experience of building the car. You will know everything that you need to know about it. You will know where all the weak points are. And the other side effect, which may be called beneficial, maybe not, is that you'll also have all the tools you need to repair anything that goes wrong on the car, because you'll have had to buy them to install whatever it is that went wrong. I've certainly acquired a lot of tools here that I never would have considered buying in the past. A pretty good example of this is my tube flaring tool. So to install the fire suppression system, I have to run aluminum tubing around the car and flare it out to 37 degrees so that I can fit the AN fittings on it in the engine bay and in the cockpit. So I never would have bought that before, but now I have one. So you end up with the skill set and the tool set to be able to work on your car efficiently and effectively, as well as having that knowledge of where everything is inside the vehicle. Another question I get about this typically is, why did I pick the C5 Z06? Well, for a number of reasons. My first choice actually was a BMW 330 Ci. Unfortunately, trying to find one of those that was A, not a convertible, and B, a manual, turned out to be somewhat impossible. I searched for a couple months for a car. The closest thing I could find was a car in Oklahoma that frankly looked terrible, and I didn't want to spend the money on. I looked into old 911s. I looked into Miatas. But at the end of the day, best bang for the buck, 405 horsepower, pretty close to 3,000 pounds out of the box, and got to be under 3,000 now with everything I've taken out of it, is the C5 Z06. Affordable, parts are readily available and cheap. I believe to replace all of the rotors on this car is approximately $160, maybe $200, whereas a early 2000s Porsche 911, you're looking at probably $150, $200 per rotor. So I wanted something that wasn't going to break the bank, something that had enough horsepower that would be enjoyable to drive in the track, but also had that reliability and maintainability that the C5Z has. So this engine is almost bulletproof. It's a very good engine for Chevy. I have to say I am not a Corvette guy, never have been a Corvette guy. I typically don't care for them. The C8's intriguing, but honestly, I've never wanted to own one of these cars. But to be honest, it's grown on me. I like it. I enjoy driving it. It performs, and the car is better than I am, and that's really all I could ask for. I think it looks pretty good for what it is. Once you put some aero on it and some stickers and get it ready in its race livery, I think it's going to look fantastic. So it's not about being loyal to a mark or brand. It's really just not about the car that you see yourself in. It's being objective and being budget minded and picking the car that gives you the most performance and the most fun for your dollar. And I think the C5Z fits that bill. You can find really good examples under 20K all day long. I got this car with 26,000 miles on it. It had been babied for 20 years, and I proceeded to destroy it and rip everything out and make it my own. So, it's really up to you, but I would say that, if you're out there searching for your dedicated track car, be objective, do your research, find out what it costs to maintain the car, not just to purchase the car. And find something that really speaks to you and you're going to have fun with around the track. So let's get on to the next subject, where I am. I am not close to getting a license. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Let's say that I'm several check rides away from getting there. And that's partially on me for not going to a lot of NASA events and taking those check rides. But what I need to do here is tell you that when you're looking at this, what you need to do is go take a look at the cars in your class, in the class that you want to race in, and go look at the times that they're posting. And then say, all right, when I'm on the track with these people, am I going to be an impediment? Am I going to be continually lapped? Am I just going to be a problem rather than a true competitor on the field? It's not a whole lot of fun to go out there and just be dead last and be circling the track and getting the blue flag all day long for faster traffic coming by you. So what I'm trying to do right now is get myself to the point where I'm in the ballpark of where those competitive racers are racing at. And at my track at High Plains Raceway, from what I can tell from the results, the racers are running in the low twos, right? Somewhere between 158 up to 208. The good news is that my last outing I ran a 212, and I felt really good about that 212, and I know it was repeatable, and I definitely saw where I was losing time on the track. So I know I can get better. I know I can get sub 10. I just need 4 or 5 more track days and a bit of just a bit more experience to get where I think I need to be. And at that point, I'm going to go ahead and try to get check rides to go into time trials. That should give me an opportunity to actually race with other people on the track, improve my times, be able to handle traffic, and be out there with other competitors, which I think would be great. And then once I get the time trials under my belt about 4, 5, 6 times, maybe then it's time to start talking about trying to get my provisional license. So that'll be a lot of fun. I actually expect to be able to make it this year, as long as the car holds up and I hold up. I think we're on the right track. Another thing I wanted to point out is that iRacing is a fantastic training tool. I've been using it quite a bit in the off season to get myself comfortable with other people on the track and treating it like it's a real race and not a video game. Unfortunately, not everybody does that. You'll have to take the bad with the good. But trying to train that way, using it as a real life experience and trying to put yourself in the mindset of, I'm driving a real car. If I wreck this car, I'm responsible for it. If I wreck it to somebody else, they're gonna be very angry with me, and because they're about to lose a whole bunch of money. And treating it like it's a real race is extremely important. I would say that some of the vehicle dynamics, especially the tire model, I would kind of just ignore those and understand that those are the gamier parts of the system. But for actually racing in traffic, trying to follow the rules, putting yourself in the right place on the track, and being aware of where other cars are around you, I can't think of a better training tool to prepare you for that outside of the real thing. It's been a fantastic experience for me. It's been well worth the money. I would highly recommend it to everyone for the off season and beyond. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than buying track time. And then once you get out on the track in those time trial moments or in a real competitive race, you're not going to have those nerves and those, well, maybe a little bit. You won't have that complete dearth of experience racing with other people side by side. And I think that's very important. I think the first time we end up doing that is going to be a little scary. But having that experience on your belt from a simulator, I think is going to pay dividends in the future. I can already tell you that it's already helped me with my looking ahead into each corner. It's helped me a lot with car positioning, and it's helped me a lot in making sure that I don't get tunnel vision on the track, where you're just kind of staring down where you're going, staring down at the tree, and ignoring everything else. Being aware of others on the track is an extremely important skill, and it's one that you need to cultivate. So with all that being said, I'm at 212, need to be in the mid twos, I think. Got about 5, 6, 7 seconds to cut off. The other good news is that my theoretical best lap at this point is a 211. So I know where I need to improve, and as I improve the car, I have every confidence that we'll be ready in 2022 to race in Super Touring 2 in NASA. Okay, so what are the goals for 2021? First thing, get the car tech inspection ready. Make sure it's all set and ready for NASA to inspect that so I can be legal out on the track. 2, get my times under 210. I think it's very achievable, especially in the first half of the year. Start getting into that area where I will actually be competitive on the track. That should be a lot of fun getting there as well. 3, get more instruction. 10 more NASA events where they put an instructor in the car with you. I need to figure out more areas where I'm losing time. I have pretty good ideas in some places, but nothing beats having a person in the car with you and then giving you kind of an after-action report after you finish your track time. And 4, get in the time trials. Get my check ride, get all that completed. In the latter half of the year, I would very much like to be participating in time trials rather than just general track time. And 4, continue to make progress on the car outside of the tech inspection bits. So, adding a few things here and there, maybe the radiator, maybe redoing the airflow to make it a front breather rather than a bottom breather, putting the aero on, coilovers, those sorts of things. Just getting the car even more ready and more competitive for 2022. All right. So, hey, thanks for joining me. Thanks for sharing this experience. And don't forget to tune in to all the upcoming videos on installs. And we'll see you next time. Thanks again.